In a world obsessed with attention, validation, and constant reaction, ignoring people has become one of the most ruthless forms of power. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Control is not always about confrontation. It's about absence. When you stop reacting, stop explaining, and stop feeding egos, something unsettling happens. You take back dominance. Most people think power comes from being loud, feared, or admired. But Machiavellian psychology reveals a darker truth. The one who withholds attention controls the emotional battlefield. Ignoring is not weakness, it is strategic silence. It creates uncertainty, triggers insecurity, and forces others to reveal their intentions while you remain untouchable. This is not about pettiness or ego. This is about psychological positioning. When you master the art of ignoring people, you disrupt expectations, break manipulation cycles, and elevate yourself beyond emotional reach. In this video, we dive deep into Machiavelli's dark psychology to uncover why ignoring others is one of the most effective and dangerous forms of silent power. If this is hitting uncomfortably close, pause for a second. The strongest move right now is silence. Like the video, subscribe, and stay till the end, because what comes next shows how ignoring people rewires the power dynamic completely. Stay with me as I explain further. Number 1. Ignoring reclaims psychological dominance. In Machiavellian psychology, power begins where emotional dependence ends. Ignoring someone is not passive, it is a declaration of hierarchy. When you refuse to react, you silently communicate that the other person does not possess the authority to influence your emotional state. Most people are conditioned to believe reactions equal relevance. Anger, explanations, arguments, all signal that someone has reached you. Ignoring removes that access entirely. This absence of reaction destabilizes people because it robs them of feedback. The human mind craves confirmation, positive or negative. When you provide neither, the other person is left suspended in uncertainty. They begin to question their importance, their impact, and their standing relative to you. This internal questioning is where dominance shifts. Machiavelli understood that control does not require confrontation. In fact, confrontation often equalizes power. Ignoring elevates you above the emotional arena entirely. You are no longer a participant. You become the reference point. The ignored individual, meanwhile, becomes psychologically reactive, replaying interactions, searching for meaning, and often escalating behavior to provoke a response. True dominance is not loud. It is quiet, immovable, and detached. When you ignore strategically, you reclaim authority over the emotional exchange. You are no longer responding, you are being responded to. And in psychological warfare, the one who does not react is always the one in control. Number 2. Silence forces others to reveal their true nature. Machiavelli warned that people reveal their intentions most clearly when they are denied control. Ignoring someone removes their ability to steer the interaction, and in that void, their true character surfaces. Manipulators rely on dialogue, emotion, and engagement to mask their motives. Silence strips away those tools. When ignored, people respond in predictable patterns. Some become aggressive. Others become needy. Some attempt guilt. Others escalate conflict. And some over-explain themselves. Each reaction is information. The more they try to regain your attention, the more they expose their insecurities, intentions, and psychological weak points. By remaining silent, you shift from participant to observer. You stop revealing your emotions while they reveal theirs. This is a classic Machiavellian advantage, gathering intelligence while giving none. Silence becomes a psychological interrogation without questions. Most importantly, ignoring removes the mask of civility. When people are denied validation, their ego takes over. You see who needs control, who fears irrelevance, and who respects boundaries. Machiavelli believed it was better to be unreadable than understood. Silence makes you unreadable. In this way, ignoring is not avoidance. It is strategy. You allow others to expose themselves while you remain composed, neutral, and untouchable. Knowledge gained in silence is far more valuable than words exchanged in conflict. Number 3. Ignoring breaks. Emotional manipulation. Completely emotional manipulation survives on reaction. Anger, defensiveness, justification, and explanation are the fuel manipulators need to maintain control. Machiavelli emphasized that emotional predictability is weakness. When someone knows how to provoke you, they own leverage over you. Ignoring cuts off that leverage instantly. When you stop engaging, manipulation collapses. The manipulator loses access to your emotions and is forced into desperation. They may escalate tactics, accusations, guilt-tripping, or playing the victim, but without your participation, these strategies fail. Silence creates emotional starvation. Manipulators cannot operate without feedback. They need to see you react so they can adjust their tactics. When ignored, they lose the ability to steer outcomes. This shifts the power balance completely in your favor. Importantly, ignoring is not emotional suppression. It is emotional sovereignty. You are not pretending not to feel. You are choosing not to be controlled by those feelings. Machiavelli's philosophy was never about cruelty. It was about self-preservation in hostile environments. When you ignore manipulation, you establish a psychological boundary that cannot be crossed. You send a clear message: my emotions are not available for exploitation. Over time, manipulators either withdraw or self-destruct. Either outcome restores your autonomy. The most ruthless move is not confronting manipulation. It is becoming unreachable to it. Number 4. Absence creates psychological pressure and control. Machiavelli understood scarcity as a weapon. Presence reassures. Absence destabilizes. When you ignore someone, you remove your psychological presence without explanation, and that absence creates pressure far stronger than confrontation ever could. Human beings fear irrelevance more than rejection. Rejection provides closure. Ignoring provides uncertainty. The ignored person begins to replay interactions, search for mistakes, and imagine meanings that may not exist. This mental loop drains their emotional energy while costing you none. Your silence becomes a vacuum, and nature, and the human psyche, hates a vacuum. People will fill it with assumptions, anxieties, and self-doubt. This is how ignoring creates control without action. Machiavelli advised rulers to make their presence meaningful by making it scarce. The same applies psychologically. When your attention is not guaranteed, it gains value. When it is withdrawn, it creates imbalance. Absence also forces others to recalibrate their behavior. They may become more compliant, more respectful, or more cautious in future interactions. Your silence conditions them without you saying a word. In power dynamics, the one who can walk away mentally and emotionally holds the advantage. Ignoring is not disappearance, it is strategic absence. And strategic absence is one of the most effective tools of psychological dominance. Number 5. Ignoring signals. High status and self-worth. High-value individuals do not react to everything. They choose. Machiavelli believed that power gravitates toward those who appear self-contained and emotionally independent. Ignoring signals that you do not need validation, approval, or constant engagement to maintain your sense of worth. When you ignore selectively, you communicate abundance. You imply that your time, attention, and energy are limited resources, not freely available to anyone who demands them. This elevates your psychological status instantly. People instinctively respect boundaries enforced without explanation. Over-explaining signals insecurity. Ignoring signals certainty. You are not trying to convince anyone of your value, you assume it. This is why ignoring often increases attraction, respect, and influence. People chase what feels just out of reach. Machiavelli understood that desire intensifies in uncertainty. Your silence creates that uncertainty. Importantly, high-status ignoring is not reactive or emotional. It is calm and deliberate. You are not ignoring to punish. You are ignoring because engagement is unnecessary. When people realize they cannot provoke, control, or distract you, they adjust how they approach you. This shift places you in a position of quiet authority. In psychological hierarchies, those who need less engagement sit at the top. Number 6. Ignoring protects. Strategic positioning. Every conversation reveals information, intentions, emotions, vulnerabilities. Machiavelli emphasized concealment as essential to power. The less others know about you, the harder you are to manipulate. Ignoring protects your strategic position by reducing exposure. When you do not respond, you reveal nothing. Others are left guessing about your thoughts, feelings, and next move. This uncertainty weakens them and strengthens you. While they speculate, you observe. While they react, you calculate. This asymmetry creates dominance. They are emotionally invested. You are strategically detached. Engagement often pulls you into unnecessary battles that drain focus and clarity. Ignoring keeps you above the chaos. It allows you to choose when to act rather than being forced to react. Machiavelli warned that emotional entanglement clouds judgment. Ignoring maintains mental clarity. You conserve energy for moments that actually matter. Strategic silence is not avoidance, it is discipline. It ensures that when you do speak or act, it carries weight. Those who speak constantly are predictable. Those who remain silent become formidable. Number 7. Silence forces self-correction in others. When confronted, people defend. When ignored, they reflect. Machiavelli understood that indirect control is more effective than direct force. Ignoring removes the battlefield and forces conflict inward. Without your response, people begin to evaluate their own behavior. They question what went wrong, what they said, or how they should adjust. This self-correction happens without resistance because it feels self-initiated. Silence also reveals who is capable of accountability. Those with maturity reflect and improve. Those without it escalate or collapse. Either way, you gain clarity. By ignoring, you do not argue, explain, or justify. You allow behavior to speak for itself. This creates a psychological consequence without confrontation. Over time, people learn how to treat you by how accessible you make yourself. Ignoring trains others to respect boundaries because violations are met with absence, not drama. This is Machiavellian efficiency, maximum influence with minimal effort. You do not correct people. They correct themselves, or they remove themselves from your sphere. Number 8. Mastering. Ignoring is mastering yourself. The most difficult part of ignoring is internal. Ego wants to react. Emotion wants expression. Machiavelli believed self-control was the foundation of all external power. If you cannot rule your impulses, others will rule you. Ignoring requires discipline. It is the ability to sit with discomfort without acting on it. This mastery separates the reactive from the powerful. When you ignore intentionally, you prove that your emotions do not dictate your actions. You choose response or non-response based on strategy, not impulse. This level of control makes you psychologically unshakable. Others cannot provoke you because provocation requires participation. You have withdrawn consent. Mastering ignoring means mastering patience, restraint, and emotional clarity. It turns you into a presence that cannot be rushed, pressured, or manipulated. In Machiavellian terms, this is the highest form of power, ruling yourself so completely that no one else can rule you. Lastly, power is not proven by how loudly you react, how fiercely you defend yourself, or how often you explain your worth. True power is revealed in restraint. Machiavelli understood what most people never do. That silence, when chosen deliberately, is more terrifying than confrontation. When you master the art of ignoring, you step out of emotional slavery and into psychological dominance. Ignoring is not weakness, it is control. It means you no longer allow others to pull your strings, dictate your mood, or drag you into battles that don't serve you. You conserve your energy, protect your position, and let others expose themselves while you remain composed and untouchable. Remember this: the one who reacts is predictable. The one who remains silent is feared, respected, and impossible to manipulate. Not everyone deserves your attention, and denying it is sometimes the most ruthless move you can make. If this message resonated with you, carry it with discipline, silence wisely, engage selectively, and never forget, those who control their reactions control the game.